promotions, is now a free agent, and will most likely go and sign with Eddie Hearn's Matchroom, Sky Sports, and DAZN platform. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Remstar Says So. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm not gonna lie with you. I actually feel sick making this video recording, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I feel strange. I can't lie to you guys on this one. This is not a video I thought I was ever going to make. Billy Joe Saunders has left Frank Warren and is now a free agent, most likely going to sign with Matchroom. Um, this is it's crazy. I just didn't see it coming. I mean, some people might say that the writing's been on the wall, but I just thought that loyalty was just too much. You guys who's been riding with me for a long time, you guys know I made a video saying I can't disrespect loyalty in boxing, and I put a picture of Billy Joe Saunders and Frank Warren in the caption. So this is strange. I understand where it's coming from. Billy Joe Saunders is about to be 30 years old this month on the 30th of August. He has a record of 28 fights, 28 wins, 13 by knockout, no losses, no draws. But he hasn't reached the pinnacle of where he needs to be. For some parts, it's his own fault. And for other parts, you can argue that Frank Warren has not delivered when he needed to. I'll give you an example. Billy Joe Saunders, for a very long time, was after the big fights. He wanted Golovkin. He couldn't get it. Frank Warren couldn't deliver that fight for him. He wanted Canelo. Frank Warren couldn't deliver that fight for him. He wanted to fight Eubank again. Frank Warren claimed that Eubank didn't want it, but I've never known Chris Eubank Jr. to ever turn down a fight. Chris Eubank Jr. wanted the Golovkin fight, but Eddie Hearn fucked that one up for him. I don't think Chris Eubank Jr. knows how to run away from a fight, and that's probably the reason why he's lost two fights that he probably shouldn't have been in. So yeah, it's a tough one. I think what might have come to the end of the tether for Billy Joe Saunders was the recent cock up by Frank Warren and the fact that he could not secure the biggest fight for Billy Joe Saunders at super middleweight, which was the Callum Smith fight. Now, I didn't make a video for this because I've just been fucking slacking recently, but Frank Warren says that he offered Callum Smith an offer of £1 million plus for a 50-50 pay-per-view fight to come over to BT Sports and fight on box office against Billy Joe Saunders. It was Callum Smith's team that turned it down, his management team and advisors. This wasn't even Eddie Hearn. So, this is when you know that Frank Warren's just not hitting the target, because usually it would be probably Team Smith would be like, okay, cool, we want to do this. And then Team Hearn would be like, hell to the no, I'm not letting you go. But it didn't even get to Hearn. It was Smith's team that just said no. The reason why is that Callum Smith apparently is earning a shitload of money. If the rumor mill is true, he would have earned something between about $3 to $4 million when he beat George Groves, and it sounds like he earned maybe about $1 million, maybe 1.5, when he fought on the Anthony Joshua undercard against Callum Ndandu, or whatever the fuck that geezer's name was. Callum Smith seems to have entered into the money pit now, and Frank Warren just can't guarantee these fights. Billy Joe Saunders has been with Frank Warren since the amateurs. Frank Warren took him out of the amateurs and gave him his professional debut against Attilo Molnar, when he got a second round knockout in a 4-rounder. Billy Joe Saunders, like, whew, what can I say? He's not helped himself over the years. I can't blame everything on Frank Warren. Certain things like, getting a prostitute to hit that guy, the various like outbursts that he's done. Also, when he signed up with the Ingle Gym and he failed that drugs test ahead of the Demetrius Andrade fight, he's not done everything to help himself. But I understand where he's coming from. Frank Warren has not delivered for him. Billy Joe Saunders beat Andy Lee for the WBO title back in December 2015, and his career just really hasn't taken off. When you look at the fighters that he's fought since then, Artur Akov, Willie Monroe Jr., David Lemieux, Charles Adamu, and then he went up and beat Shefat Isufi. These are not big names on his record, CV, resume, whatever you want to call it. Like, they're just not big names at all. Billy Joe Saunders needs to be mixing it with the likes of, the Golovkins, the Canelos. If he was staying at super middleweight, why did Frank Warren not get that unification with Billy Joe Saunders for the rematch for the IBO title as well? There's other fighters at super middleweight. Billy Joe Saunders could have went for a unification fight with the likes of Anthony Durrell or Caleb Plant. Why go straight after the biggest tree? I mean, I'm pretty sure Al Heyman would do business with Frank Warren. It just doesn't make sense. Billy Joe Saunders doesn't have a commercial draw, and I think that's the reason why Team Smith turned that fight down. Because it's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to take a guarantee of 1 million or 1.5 million, but realistically, Callum Smith's not a big draw, and Billy Joe Saunders isn't a big draw. And I'd be surprised if that fight would have done more than 200,000 pay-per-view buyers. That's the sort of fight that you put on a Tyson Fury undercard to prop that up when Tyson Fury's fighting the Milkman. That's a different story for a different time, guys. I have been away from this channel for a long time and I am coming back. But yeah, Billy Joe Saunders is fucked off. In a couple of interviews since, Frank Warren has made out like he doesn't care. He's made out like it's amicable. But I tell you what, Frank Warren is dying inside. Frank, if you're ever watching this channel, which you probably never will be because I'm an absolute fucking nobody, I just want you to understand, Frank, you don't have to lie in person. Tyson Fury, who's your biggest star, you've basically signed him over to Bob Arum to be Bob Arum's bitch, and you're going to get a bit of knockoff change. You have no control over what Tyson Fury does, and Fury's never coming back to the UK until Wilder knocks his block off. Billy Joe Saunders was your second biggest star, and he's literally just walked out the door with the belt that you helped him secure. After that, you've just got a lot of prospects. Nicola Adam, fair enough, she's just been upgraded to world champion Dubois and Yard, but your stable is not great. You better hope you can tie down Josh Warrington, Frankie. But anyway, back to the topic in hand. What is going to happen with Billy Joe Saunders? If I was a betting man, I'd say he'd go straight to the zone. Why? Because if he goes to the zone, he can get right up in that mix. He's got the Canelos, the Golovkins, the Andrades, the Jacobs. I'm sure the zone's got a couple other sort of middleweights and supers, the Callum Smiths. If he went to PBC, he could probably fight a Charlo. If he went back down to 160, fight Charlo for the WBC title. But that's about it. I think right now, like every promoter has their hold on a certain weight category. And I think that if you are a middleweight, which Billy Joe Saunders definitely is, he's not a real super middleweight. All the middleweights should really be on the zone because you've got, Tom Loeffler's, whatever his promotion's called with Golovkin. You've got Golden Boy with Canelo. And then, you've got Eddie Hearn who's got Andrade and Danny Jacobs. So, if he goes and signs with any of the three of them, most likely Eddie Hearn's matchroom, he can enter in the mix with any of those guys. I just think that, Frank Warren hasn't delivered the biggest fights. He's not turned him into a star, and he's probably thinking to himself, like, shit, I'm about to be 30 years old. I haven't made the money that I should have. I've had a sort of staggered career. Yes, there's been a lot of issues for himself, but boy, it's time for him to sort of set sail and go after pastures new. What do I think is going to happen? I think Billy Joe Saunders will go sign with Matchroom, and I think he'll have a couple of warm-up fights. Eddie Hearn might stick him in for a unification. I mean, if I was Eddie Hearn and I signed Billy Joe Saunders, I'd keep Saunders as far away from Golovkin and Canelo as possible. I'm saying this from now. If Billy Joe Saunders goes back down to 160, he will get dealt with. He can't beat Andrade. He can't beat Jacobs. He can't beat Golovkin. He can't beat Canelo. Stay out of that mix. If I was Billy Joe Saunders, what I'd be doing is I'd be looking to have a rematch with Chris Eubank, stick that on pay-per-view. Then I'd be looking to do a sort of unification with the likes of a Darrell or a Caleb Plant. I think Caleb Plant's the weakest link out of all the 168 guys, if not Billy Joe Saunders. And then if I was Eddie Hearn, I'd be looking to get Callum Smith to then go and fight Darrell. He'd go wipe him out, and then you could fight for an undisputed title shot, Saunders versus Smith. Now that would definitely be worth a pay-per-view shot, but I don't know. I'm not a matchmaker. I always come up with dream matches in my head. They never come off because, promoters don't want to pay for shit. But that's what I would look at. I'd say stay at 168, collect a couple of belts, have a few pay-per-view fights, get your head smashed in by Callum Smith, and then retire with a couple of quid in your pocket. I'm pretty sure if he does sign to Matchroom, which I'll make a video if he does, I'm pretty sure everybody thinks he will. There'll be a lot of money on the table for his fights, regardless of who he's fighting. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, are you as shocked at this as I am? Because I made a bloody video saying I'm not gonna fault him for staying loyal, but I'm still not gonna fault him for leaving. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's got to earn a crust, and I don't think he's earned that much fighting for Frank Warren anyway. So he's left with the belt in hand. Frank Warren has now lost the world champion, and Eddie Hearn will probably gain one. Anyway, leave me a comment, hit like, hit subscribe, press that bell icon, and share this video. That's the end of the show because Remstar says so.